I'm Congressman Mike Thompson. I'm the chairman of the Task Force on Gun Violence Prevention. Today is Gun Violence Awareness Day. It's a day that all Americans should take stock in the fact that we have a health and safety problem in our country. It's gun violence. We should do everything we can to help prevent gun violence. Today we're asking everyone to wear orange, wear something orange, to bring attention to the fact that today is Gun Violence Awareness Day and that we need to take action to do all that we can to stop this epidemic. Every day, 30 people are killed by someone using a gun. If you add suicides and accidental shootings, the number jumps up to 100 a day. I stand with the victims, I stand with the survivors, their family members, and our communities that are devastated by gun violence. There's things that we can do. We have solutions. We could start by passing my bill, H.R. 8, a bill that has bipartisan support. It passed the House of Representatives, and now it's over in the Senate. If the Senate passes it, President Biden will sign it into law. That bill would expand background checks to require everyone who buys a gun to get a background check. That way, we can make sure people who are prohibited from owning guns, people who are a danger to themselves or to others, will have a more difficult time getting their hands on a gun. This is an important step. All of the experts tell us it's the best and the fastest thing we can do to prevent gun violence. So Senate, pass the bill. And for the rest of us, let's wear orange today. Let's let our friends, our neighbors, and our family members know that we stand with those survivors, we stand with those victims, and we stand against gun violence.
Hello, I'm Congressman Jim COSTA, and I am the co-chair and founder of the Crime Survivors Caucus. In June is National Gun Violence Awareness Month, a chance to pause and remember those lives lost and forever changed by gun violence, and their families and friends. Each year, sadly, more than 35,000 people in our country, in the United States, are killed, and more than 80,000 are injured by gun violence. It's crazy. We got to do better. There's a lot of causes, but certainly the increase in gun violence in our nation has experienced in recent years has created a public health crisis. And therefore we as Americans must come together with sensible, common sense efforts that are bold and that involve action, immediate action. It's nice to offer our thoughts and prayers to a victim and their family. And thoughts and prayers are always good, but by themselves, they will not correct the incredible gun violence that is occurring in our country. So, I will continue to work with Congress on finding bipartisan, common sense solutions to make our communities safe, because that's what we need and that's what we want. Work is never easy, but we can get out there by committing ourselves to create a world where no community must mourn a sad anniversary or a loved one lost and their family. So let's come together as a nation. We can do better, I know. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Mikie Sherrillwear, and I'm here today to talk about something critically important to the future of our children and our nation, and that's gun safety. Right now, we suffer more gun deaths from gun violence in this country than we do in all of our wars. This level of violence, the level that we put up with, the insecurity of our children, it's just simply unacceptable. And so that's why I have worked so incredibly hard to pass good legislation in the House. But despite the fact that we passed universal background checks in the House, we passed legislation to end the Charleston loophole in the House, We passed legislation to end the boyfriend loophole in the House. We have yet to get good gun safety legislation through the Senate. It just makes no sense to me that we can't find at least 10 Republican senators who are willing to put our children and the future of this country and the safety of this country before their own personal self-interest. So that's why we need to keep fighting. And I want to thank all the Moms Demand Action people who continue to fight this fight year after year. I am going to be relentless. I am going to continue to make sure that I work every year to get gun safety legislation passed and find a way to get that through the Senate and get it on the president's desks. So thank you all for your hard work and dedication, and with your support, we will get this done.
My name is David Price, and I'm the congressman from North Carolina's 4th U.S. House District. Today marks the 7th National Gun Violence Awareness Day. That's a day when we collectively gather and demand action for preventing gun violence in our country. And believe me, it couldn't come at a more critical time. Last year, our country witnessed the convergence of 2 public health crises, the COVID-19 pandemic and a widespread surge in gun violence. This year alone, there have been over 18,000 lives lost due to gun violence. Actually, more suicides than homicides, but it includes the onslaught of mass shootings as well as everyday community violence that doesn't make headlines. Congress, I believe, has a moral obligation to meet the calls of our constituents, many of whom are youth organizers, to take common sense measures to limit the availability of assault-style weapons, to ensure guns don't get into the wrong hands, to ensure the safety of all in our community. Gun violence should be treated for what it is, a public health crisis. Solutions must be systemic and evidence-based as we address the root causes of gun violence. So as a vice chair of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force in the House, I'll continue to push for congressional action for the advancement of community-based violence prevention measures. Thank you for all you do.
We're wearing orange today, but we know that every day there's an epidemic of gun violence in our country. So let's use today to rededicate ourselves to do all that we can to end the violence, the senseless violence throughout America.
The gun violence epidemic in this country claims 100 lives each day. And unfortunately, we know firsthand in South Jersey how gun violence can span generations. Recently, we saw yet another mass shooting, this time in San Jose, California. These senseless acts of violence must end. Earlier this year, I stood with my colleagues in the House to pass 2 landmark gun violence prevention bills. 1 to close loopholes, and 2 to enhance those background checks. We must demand action for our children, for our grandchildren, and for everyone in our community. That's why I wear orange.
Hey everyone, it's Josh, and today, as you probably know, is Gun Violence Awareness Day. Why is this so important? Because we're still in this fight to actually get background checks, to pass common sense gun legislation, and to stop the scourge of gun violence that continues to affect our communities day in and day out. Like all of us, we're all sick and tired of the endless accounts of one death after another. Senseless violence. So for me, this is about doubling down on getting something done. We obviously are working very hard in the House of Representatives to do it. This legislation keeps getting stuck in the Senate. I'm committed to working overtime until we get this passed. We have to, for the sake of all those we've lost. We all know the reality. 90% of Americans believe in background checks. Yet here we are, year in and year out, having trouble getting them passed. I'm committed, as I know you are, to doubling down and make it happen. We need to make sure that there are real background checks so that no criminals or gang members or terrorists or those with mental illness are able to access a lethal weapon. You know, and I'm, again, saying on this important day, let's all recommit ourselves to passing meaningful background check legislation, common sense gun legislation, and just doing what 90% of Americans want us to do, which is take sensible action. That's all we're saying. This is not about hunters or people who want to protect themselves. It's about just smart moves to actually protect families and our children. So let's all join together on this important day and stand together and continue to fight for action in getting common sense gun legislation done. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Attorney General Mark Herron. And today we're wearing orange to remember all those Virginians and others across the country who have lost their lives to gun violence. Earlier this week was the anniversary of the mass shooting in Virginia Beach, where 12 Virginians lost their lives to gun violence. Too many communities and too many families have experienced this pain. And it's not just the mass shootings. People are feeling the pain of gun violence every single day. Last year in Virginia, 1,000 Virginians were killed at the end of the barrel of a gun. And we can't become numb to these statistics. The status quo is not acceptable. We have gotten some new laws passed in Virginia to help address the problem of gun violence, things like the one gun a month law and expanded background checks and a red flag law. The gun lobby didn't go away. They did go to court, and so we are successfully defending those laws in court right now. But there's still more to do, because too many people are experiencing the pain of gun violence, and as your Attorney General, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you, your families, and your communities safe.
Hi, I'm California Attorney General Rob Bonta. Today we wear orange to remember those we've lost to gun violence. Just recently, there have been mass shootings in Miami, and right here in San Jose, California, 11 people killed and even more injured in a matter of days. These horrific losses to the loved ones of the victims and their communities are a glaring reminder that gun violence is America's disease. I feel deeply saddened by these losses for these families who in the blink of an eye lost a mother, father, sister, or brother. But I also feel anger and frustration. It's time now to channel our emotions into action. And while no one law is a panacea, we have to do more than the status quo. In California, we have strong, common sense gun laws, but we need similar laws in other states and at the federal level. As a country, we can save lives with universal background checks, a renewed assault weapons ban, and a ban on high-capacity magazines. On National Gun Violence Awareness Day, as we remember the lives we've lost, let's also remember that the cure to America's disease starts with action.